around keeping it separate. I think when I look at the two versions of it, they tell a different story. So like the mind map that was created by Eric and Mathieu is what's there and missing throughout the journey, because they have before, during, and after. And then the one that we created yesterday is just more overall and focuses on the resource, right? So like the black thing, like having guidance, the community, partnerships, funding, or knowledge, that's like the thing, the broad category of the thing that they acquire. So I think it's just a different emphasis. And so for me, it's more about what kind of emphasis do we want to have? Do we want to have a journeyed emphasis? And that's like the one that's on the bottom. And there may be some things that we identified in the one above it that are missed, you know, that could be added to that. Or do we want to have, instead of the emphasis on the journey, do we want to have the emphasis on the resource? And I think where I was coming with the resource thing was around this acknowledgement that it's by design. Like everything that we do in our society is by design, whether it's how the program is designed or isn't designed, whether it's how communities are designed or isn't designed. So that's the lens that was taking me up to the one with the black squares. So I think it's just about like, where do we want to put emphasis and what is the most meaningful or valuable?
I think Maria's suggestion like combines the two in a really nice way. Like, you know, you have the journey because it's just simpler to follow when things are in a story, things are as a journey, things are, you know, flowing without like being disconnected or being sort of these like big chunks of information. That's what I think. Like journeys are just simpler to flow and to grasp. So if we like position the journey as something, okay, so this is literally what the program is. This is what happens in the program. And then when you go into it, you understand, okay, these are the things that are there and these are the things that are not there. So, you know, as an overview, it's just simple to digest. And then once you go in, you really understand like the gaps and the successes.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. It has a nice flow to it. What do you guys think?
I'm in agreement that they should be separated, and I do agree as well that they kind of tell two different stories. So I think they're both useful on their own.
Do you have a preference between the two versions that we have of the?
I'd probably prefer the one we did yesterday, the kind of resource that breaks out what's there and working, what needs improvement, what is missing. I'd probably prefer that one just because it's clearer to me. But that's my thought.
Okay, Eric and Mathieu, what do you guys think?
I'll let Eric chime in. Sure.
I think I do also feel that what we created yesterday to me feels a little clearer. I will also agree about that. Like, not to say that if we want to keep all three of it, then you know it's fine. I do believe that they all tell a different story, but I feel in terms of like when I'm looking at the information, when I look at what we did yesterday, like to me that like really like pops out. Okay, like this is what's missing. This is what's there. You know, because I feel like when I look at the mind map and like, because like I don't get the before, during, and after from it as strongly as I would with the journey map up here. So for me, I feel like I look at the journey map and then I look at the the section in the middle that we did where we just show like that we had the breakout points and then we just show like what's there, what needs improvement. And I think for me, like that helps me understand everything better.
Okay, Nadia, what do you think?
So I still have this vision in my head of what I think that I see what it's going to look like. So when I envision the journey map, I envision it plotting or telling the story, as Sonia said, from beginning, during, and after, and then in before in each phase, looking at different variables. So, you know, we talked about the customer and all that stuff like that, but then at the same time, looking at that and not let it, the lens is not just on the, so the lens, when you start integrating the aspects of the journey map, can show where the innovator is on a journey, and then where the actual program is meeting them or not meeting them in that way. And so, or the resources are meeting them or not meeting them in that way, and in that process. And so I think that you can tell a complete story with the journey map. And then I think there's an opportunity to still have, if you organize I think that we can basically organize the information we have yesterday into a before, during, and after. And I think with design, we can emphasize those things in the actual mind map and then layer them on the journey map. But then again, once we drill down into each section and kind of break down the insights from there, we can use the mind map as it appears as a tool to bring more attention to that. So the way that we have it structured after program, looking at guidance, community engagement, partnerships, knowledge, and funding, after the program, and then showing what those things are, and looking at those same 5 things during the program, and then showing what those things are, and then also showing, and I think you can still visualize the red, yellow, and green. So I think that is not much different than what we have now, but I think it just becomes part of a more holistic visual representation that can then be broken down by phases. And I think that it will help fit within the narrative that's already been structured overall with the journey map. So I know it doesn't succinctly answer your question, but I think that the mind map with the before, during, and after, taking the information that we've already organized, structuring it in that way, can then allow us to overlay it in the overall journey map, and at the same time still take it out and let it live on its own as a mind map in each of the sections, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're basically, I think what Sami said is you're basically taking, so that's what we would call like the service blueprint. So it talks about the experience and how the resources support the experience, essentially.
Exactly.
I mean, I was kind of visualizing like, so if we had like a 2-page spread, like we could have something. So if, let's say we were breaking out one part of the journey. So we'd have like bright spots and we might have narrative. Hold on, I'm just sketching something, and then
Oh my God, Eric, your cat.
oh, where's the
Yeah.
cat? Oh my God!
You have
It
a
was
cat?
blending into your t-shirt.
Yeah. His mom's not home right now, so he's acting all like he needs company.
Oh.
I didn't know you're a cat person, Eric.
Yeah, I inherited him.
Or you can have it.
I'm about to inherit a cat too, so we're gonna have to.
Oh, you are?
Yeah,
Oh my gosh!
I am not an animal person, but
Well, you'll become one.
I know.
Cats are fairly low maintenance, so you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was thinking like, let's say if this is like the part where the journey is and it has like bright spots and this is for a particular section, what you could do, you could have some narrative and part of the narrative could be like what's there and what's missing.
Exactly.
So it doesn't need necessarily, what I get worried about is when the journey map becomes
Oh,
so full.
and okay.
When it becomes so full, the complete journey map is so full and you're overwhelmed by what's there. But I think what we could do is we could still have our standalone mind map, but then we can highlight somewhere within the spread. I don't know where. Don't take this seriously, Mark, because I think you're going to be better at this than I am. But somewhere we could talk about the assets and deficiencies.
Yeah.
And it could be in a list, it could be in a little mind map to say, here are the things that are missing from this phase. I don't know, it could have different representations and you could still do an overall one that shows everything. So you can kind of see what's missing.
I like that idea.
The thing I like from the mind map that Eric and Marie did is like how the innovators in the middle, and then you have like all these things around it. So I think that aspect, like we can incorporate that into the mind map we did yesterday as well, because those are all like floating chunks, and the thing that binds them is like the innovator and what infinity.
Totally, yeah. So we can add that to the diagram.
Yeah.
Well, and also like it should be from the perspective of the innovator and what they need ultimately. Like whatever it is that they're saying, what they, you know. So I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So where do we start? Where do we go from here then?
That's the question. I think the journey map is not fully complete, is it, Veronica?
No, I don't think it is. I think
Yeah, we probably got to start there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we just pick up where we left yesterday, what we were working on.
Yeah, I think we can start with that, and then if we find ourselves a little lost, then let's like come back together to see if it makes sense. So right now I feel like what is the customer feeling or thinking? Like this section is a little I don't know. I don't know what it's doing there, because some of those feelings are in the pain points or in the bright spots.
Do we even need that section? Is the question.
So we probably don't need that section. Something that's fun in like, you know, these journey maps is how they sometimes map like the emotions. So you also have like it going like positive or negative. So it sort of flows with the journey, and then you can just tell like which parts of the journey are like a high and which parts are a low. So that's just like a visual representation.
Yeah, so maybe instead of actually having words, can we just use like smiley faces and color?
Yeah, I think like the whole smile. So I get kind of, Maria, yes, and so yeah, I think we can say what is good and what is not going well, or where's there like confusion. In general, like when I see I think the smiley face and the frowny face is a very easy way to do it. I think there are also really interesting ways that you can design a journey map. So there was one journey map that I did that was on the hospice experience. So people who were in hospice care, what it was like for them when they first learned they were going into hospice, then as they were preparing, then when they were in hospice, and then like as they were dying, which I know is like a very extreme case, but there are a lot of emotions because when you go into hospice care, when you first learn about it, right, it's like very frightening. And then when you first go in, you have to adjust. And so there's like turbulence. And so what we actually did, so we had like a straight line journey map, but then within it was kind of like a thicker bar. Within that, we had different things to show how people were feeling. So if somebody was like on an up, we would do this. If somebody was feeling unstable, it looked like this. if somebody was feeling, if somebody was in like a cycle, there's a point when you go into hospice care when you're just getting routine care. And so you're actually like in a cycle. So we added that as a different, and then we also had bright spots and pain points. But for the hospice care, we didn't call them bright spots and pain point. We called them comfort moments. And that was, we would use like a heart to say a comfort moment. And then we had challenge moments. And then for the challenge moments, we had like a picture of a person like scaling a mountain. And so those are,
Using iconography.
huh?
Using iconography.
Using
to-
iconography as opposed to just very basic smiley frowny face, because I feel like that's what people go to because it's really easy. But I think we have an opportunity to be a little bit more creative in the depiction of how we think about emotion. But I think that for the purposes of the journey, what we might want to do is identify what is the overall, and I think smiley and frowny face, those are very simple emotions, whereas like, you know, feeling like it's a roller coaster or being in a more comfortable rhythm or feeling hopeful, right? Those are more complex emotions. And so what we might want to do is give us latitude to have greater complexity with our emotion. But what we could do is maybe try to sum up the emotion of that phase, whether it's frustrated, hopeful, supported, lost, and that then can help dictate how we visualize that in the journey.
Yeah, I like that. I think that allows us to be a little more simple with defining that, and it probably won't take as long to create that. Because I know, like after the program, like that's where some of the feeling of loss or the lack of support and whatever. So I think if we can summarize that, instead of summarizing it by actual activity in that area and in the box, maybe we just provide kind of that overarching. Yeah, I think that would help simplify that section.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to see if I can even, oh man, I can show you. This
And
is,
there are some, while you're doing that, there are some wireframe. If you go into the wireframe library, if you go on the left-hand side, there's icons that we could use initially just to kind of put some stuff down there to make it more visual, opposed to words. And then we can circle back if we want to like drop something in those sections.
so this is an example that I was sharing with you guys. This was on hospice care. So we have like a quote that summarizes, right? And then we have, you see how they have different, so here they're turbulent before this is like when curative care is regular health care. So they were not doing very well health-wise. And so you see, these are the comfort moments and the challenges. And then when they enter hospice, there's this uncertainty. Then there's a feeling of overwhelm. Then there's reliability and then dependability. And so this is just, again, there's like so many different ways to do a journey map that can be creative and different and delightful in a surprising way.
I like that.
So. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
So should somebody tackle that one, the top
Yeah.
one? Maybe Mark, since you'll be having to come up with what those things look like. You want to like define overarching
Sure,
feelings for each phase?
sure.
And then, so the stakeholders area, is that where we're gonna lay in? I know that was working on that, something similar to that with the second line map. Are you gonna basically take those and then layer those in, or?
So
how are we
I'm not sure if we want to layer those in.
Yeah.
Like I think we can just leave that out.
So stakeholders?
So no stakeholders. I'm imagining like you know, and then the successes and the failures. So this is what I'm imagining in a simplified and easy to digest journey map.
Okay.
So are we saying we're taking out the stakeholders?
Yeah.
That's what I think,
Okay,
but
yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think
okay.
we need that. And then like, I feel like with the applying, we should just condense these.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't think we need submitting the application. Like we could just,
Maybe deciding, then receive response.
well, we don't have any information on receive response.
Yeah, we don't have information, so it's really, it's not.
It's just like deciding and submitting. So we could just, and then, yeah, this becomes just one. Huh. And then what about onboarding? Yeah, I think that's fine, learning law. And then listen, imagine, do. I was wondering if those, because we don't have any information on listen, imagine, do.
So those become condensed into one
Yeah,
area, like research, or like what's it called, human-centered design research, and then have the different, you can have it research design.
What if we have like, or maybe that won't be a journey anymore, but what if we have like during the program, so we have the like HCD training, and then we have like guidance, and then we have like we break down the different elements of the program, so it's not really like on a timeline, but it just like tries to capture all of these elements of the program. So you have coaching, you have I don't know, training, you have the some of the things that we identified yesterday in the mind map.
yeah, we could do it that way. So we could, this one could just become coaching.
Oh, you mean underneath during, break down what they get.
So I'm if I have a pen, okay, maybe I can draw it here. But okay, I'm just going to explain it. So in the during the program section of the journey, we have just like horizontal bars that say like, okay, coaching, HCD training, because they're like across, so it's not one after the other, but
They're
it's like
happening in
across
parallel.
yes, they're happening in parallel. So have like parallel bars that show like these different things. So it's not sequential,
It's more actually cyclical because you learn, you basically learn, apply, coach. It's a cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's more of a cycle. Like you could have a journey. That looks like this.
I like that.
And then you have learn, apply, receive, guidance. It's like this. And somehow we'd put the words in, right, of what these things are, because they learn public health framing, but then they have a public health coach. They learn human-centered design, but then they have a human-centered design coach.
I like that.
I like
I
that.
think
I'm just wondering how we would be able to like have correlating like pain points and like visually, how would we put that in the journey?
Right. So you could have.
Could we color coordinate the journey? So can the journey map be just like a quick visual, like as what Veronica is showing, and then kind of like on the example that she also showed where she had the people and she had the list going down, but then maybe have the corresponding sections come down through in connection through color.
Yeah, you could do that. You could do that. You could do it like if you had, think depends, it's where, so if you had learn, I think that's a visual thing for Mark to figure out. I don't think we have to figure that out. Because he knows how to blend, use shading to connect concepts and space and lines. So I don't think we have to figure that out necessarily. And we may say this is conceptually what we want to show, and he's going to come up with a totally different thing that conveys the same thing. So I would say like maybe for us not to get so hung up on that.
Yeah, I agree.
Because that's where that's why we have Mark. That's his magic.
In theory, right?
Yeah. I think we would need to figure out so we have like the different elements, right? So we have like, if we look at the actual Moreau, we have the public health problem framing, the racism, the listen, imagine, do, the advisory council, the coaching. Like we just have to figure out how we want those, how do we want to communicate the elements with this cyclical contents?
But I'm wondering, so I think I like that structure for the entire journey map, where before the program, and when you get during the program, it's that cycle, and then after the program, the arrow continues, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that approach can be for the entire journey, not just for that one section of the journey, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So,
So, but I think, so I guess what we're agreeing though, is that instead of doing it, realizing that the things that they're doing are not sequential, but are more like an iterative process that they're going through. So I think that then like for the actual Moreau is like so we'd put listen, imagine, do together. We put the advisory council meetings, then we'd have one for the coaching.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, do we want to lump coaching? I guess we could they lump the coaching together. Like they don't talk about so like they don't talk about it in terms of like, they're like, oh, they were all awesome, Stephen, and you know, they don't say like the public health coaching was great.
No, they don't.
So, and when you say coaching, you mean like the actual like knowledge they're learning, or like are these more like one-on-one sessions with?
Yeah, this is one-on-one, like the team plus the.
So you also have like some form of like classes or like presentations, or
those are these different topics: public health problem framing, racism in medicine and healthcare, learning about how to do the Sibley innovation method.
Yeah. So what would you call those like classes or meetings or like learning? Is that what the learning lab is?
That's what I want to end up calling these. That's not what they were called before. They use old school language like curriculum and presentations.
I'm going to call it curriculum.
Advisory.
So under wireframe, I found these little icons. These are the ones that they had in there. Do you want me to populate these with these different icons, or and leave the type, or get rid of the words for that emotion row?
Do you want, are you asking? Oh, you can do whatever you want, I think.
I just
Yeah.
wondered if I should get rid of the type that we have in there, if we want to keep that in there.
I think it
Well,
would be nice to have like one word.
I think it would be nice to have one word, but I like the content in there to help us remind us what it's about, because we may go back.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
We may want to go back to why that word was important. So I would say maybe leave it, but at the top, maybe you want to put like one in bold or something.
Yeah.
So Veronica, if you look at the top section with these 4 boxes, like,
Mhm.
should we put these?
No, curriculum isn't too vague. I think it needs to be, curriculum includes everything.
So do you want to keep them separate?
Yeah, like, so with the titles in here, I think are the titles.
Because maybe we can combine like the public health problem framing and the racism in medicine and healthcare.
I would like to do that, but I feel like it's very distinct.
Okay.
So it's,
On the after program section, how are we differentiating the NF program and coaching with informal advisement?
so can you ask that question again?
How are we differentiating between NF program coaching and informal advisement?
Oh, in
Maybe
after the program?
Yeah.
Maybe just with that, why don't end of program coaching? This is business coaching.
Okay.
And then, oh, sorry, no, that's frustrated with lack of continued guidance.
Oh no, that was just to mark the end of the program. So that was like program ends.
Yeah, so maybe we don't need that.
We don't
Oh,
need.
we don't need this here.
Yeah,
So move this over here.
yeah.
Okay.
Eric, I think
Who
those,
resources? No,
those
go ahead.
things might be go in the narrative.
Wait, I'm sorry.
The things in that, oh, were you trying to move that box?
Yeah, I
That's-
was gonna spread it across the whole section.
I think that's stuff that we can put in the narrative. Like, because it's overall, it's about everything.
Right.
So that might be something that you could even move to the top of the journey map template. Mark, I'm going to help you with your section, okay?
That's fine.
Should we add like ad hoc in front of like endorsement letters and introduction to experts? Because it's not like an innovator would read this and be like, oh, but we didn't get that. So how is this after program?
Or should it be like after program needs or something? Or
Because this is the journey, the actual current journey, right? Which states like, okay, this is what happens.
the endorsement letters probably shouldn't be on there. Because not everybody got that, right?
Yeah.
So I think that that's part of the what's missing.
Well, everybody gets that if they ask for it. So I think the challenge is you get, well, you have endorsement, but you don't have affiliation.
So wasn't Tambra the one she said that I think she's the one who made mention specifically.
Yeah, she wanted ongoing affiliation because she can't say, oh, I'm doing this program with Sibley anymore.
So, but I still think that endorsement letters should be categorized under a broader group of additional things that they can get. Because to your point, not everybody who, not everybody may have taken initiative to get an endorsement letter, right? So that's not officially a part of the overall journey. So it should be like additional program support or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because all of these three are in that category of additional, maybe informal ad hoc support, like introduction to experts, advisement.
So maybe making an overarching category. So it's one category opposed to four. And then we can talk about those things in there.
I think so too. What did you call it, Marie?
Oh, I said additional informal support.
Okay. Ad hoc support.
Hey, Mark, what do you think of calling hearing of the program instead of
Yeah.
having excited? What if we called it curious? Made that feeling curious.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good.
Because it's like asking the questions. And maybe applying is feeling hopeful. And then when they get onboarded, that's feeling excited.
Does anybody else need help with a different section? Are we good with bright spots and pain points? I know we're still organizing.
We need some help with the feelings under the during the program. There's a
Sure.
couple ones that are empty.
Is it multiple feelings, or is there could we summarize the feelings into like one overarching feeling?
So I think we're summarizing the feeling per box.
Say that again.
Like,
I didn't get that between chomps.
sorry, I'm sorry. You're right. I shouldn't be clapping. I'm too comfortable now.
No, I'm dipping
Which
off scene trying to eat my watermelon. I get it.
The simply, sorry. I'm like, what am I talking about? So I think we need to have one feeling per box.
Okay.
And so just make it in bold like that. So that's the overarching feeling that they get from that attribute.
But in some cases, like the first one, I feel like it's two emotions. They're kind of upset and frustrated with the current situation, but then they're motivated to take action. And then in the last one, where they're done, and they're optimistic that they're going to get support, but they do at the same time wonder where the funding is going to come from. So it's kind of a dual emotion going on in there, at least at the beginning and the end.
Yeah, which makes sense because there's a lot of unknowns.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to look for like bright spots for public health problem framing. I'm just trying to find if there's anything that we may have in a different section. I'm also digging back into the cluster and figured that out if we have nothing there.
Okay.
Values.
I feel like we have some things which we have not mentioned in the journey, but which we have in the mind map, like certain pain points. But I guess when we actually come to like, writing the content and combining these two, like
We can elaborate.
you have to refer to both.
Yeah. Eric, do you still need some help on something? I'm done on the section. Oh, I thought it was done. Yeah.
I need help with on a feeling for public health, the public health piece. What was that feeling?
Problem framing.
Like, yeah, did anyone get feedback on the public health aspects? I don't feel like I heard very much, but
I don't remember either.
Who was it? Carlisha? I think Carlisha just talked a lot about the public health and her, I think her experience in it, right? I think there was a sense of, both from her lens, like pride in the work that she was doing, and just her background. See if I can read through anything else. But aside from her, I don't remember.